Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome to Jibber Jabber. I'm your host, as always, Skajarmas, otherwise known as Tone Shift, and with me today we have not a full house, but we have a fair number of people. First and foremost, well, not foremost, but we have Darkness in the British corner.
Hello, and I'm currently under a blanket for better audio.
Yeah, it works. We have Paladin in the background, staring into your soul.
Stir. So speaking of which, I've got a spiral one right behind me. I guess that makes me the stair master.
God damn it!
No, that title belongs to Fluttershy.
No.
Anyways, let's see here. We have Soviet Starfish glaring angrily at Paladin for that insufferable joke.
You will buy my wares.
We have
Now.
Tom117Z also hanging out in the British corner.
Hello.
And finally, out of fucking nowhere and back after who knows how long of not being in one of these, we have Blank Page, who is a little off screen. Let me bring him closer in. There we go.
I knew I should have taken the left.
Welcome back.
I knew I shouldn't
Good to be back indeed.
have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah, well, so how the hecky has everyone's week been, eh?
Fan
Fucking
bloody-tastic.
die.
Tired. I've been
Oh,
moving
that's been
furniture
interesting.
from one side to the other.
One at a time, please. I can only keep track of so many
Yeah.
conversations at once. So, yeah. Blank, it's been a long-ass time since you've been here.
Yeah, it sure has. Good to be back.
The
Gonna
hell
try not to
happened?
die again.
The hell happened?
What do you mean, try not to die again? This is just a tradition where we summon you from the dead using pagan rituals.
Yep, you guys just ran out of chicken blood last time, so the
Explain,
ritual.
shitstain.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess pressure got to me. I just had to take a break for a while.
Yeah, it's understandable. We were kind of teasing you relentlessly. We still do every time we play Decks
little
Against
bit.
Society. Because
But
I'm sorry, it's just
I-
so easy.
No, I understand. And I posted 3 times in 3 days. Y'all better be satisfied.
Yeah, no, I actually need to talk about that for a second. I forgot to make it one of the topics. We're going to talk about that for a second. Okay, so, internet, YouTube, audience, guess what just happened? Like Blank said, he finally posted 3 chapters of Human Nature back to motherfucking back. Holy shit. That is 3 chapters
said I'd
that I
deliver.
now have to record.
Take your time with it.
And one of them is 9,000 words long.
I tried so hard to keep it. I had to cut that chapter in half too. I remember
And
talking
I'm
to you
still
about
going to
that.
have to split it in half for my sanity when I do the recording.
This is going to be
Sweet.
fun.
So that means approximately 4 weeks, because I recorded on Wednesdays, of Human Nature. So,
Yeah.
y'all dipshits better be ready for that shit.
Oh, we will
I've
be.
been ready for the recording because these days I don't have time to read through work.
Yes. But, yeah, so 3 chapters. Human Nature finally coming back into the fold. Not permanently, sadly, because we gotta wait for more to come out, but, excuse me, 4 chapters. That's more than none. And so it's better than none.
Yeah.
So,
It is infinitely better, mathematically speaking.
oh yeah, definitely. 4 times.
Not to draw the
Congrats.
No, that would be if it
It's
was
not that
1. Yeah, okay, this would be infinite times better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Taking a break is always a good way to recharge yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely. It did help a lot too.
I bet.
Mm.
All right. And I mean, if we're overpressuring you at any point, feel free to tell us.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I can take a joke. It's just
Yeah.
I suppose I had a lot of things kind of piling up at once. That was just writing the story just became such a small part of my life that I needed to kick it out just so that I can do like other things that were like more life important. You feel?
Mm.
That's
I know the feeling.
That's fair enough. Okay.
And look
Anyways.
at the bright side. You haven't got a nickname like mine, the Darkness.
Our old
darkness.
friend.
My old friend.
I get that on every server I go on.
Well, we have to show them what true darkness looks like.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's your own fault,
My
you
old
know.
friend,
I
Okay,
know.
Discord.
as opposed to spicy friend.
That was not Discord. This is my Discord voice, you insufferable nincompoop. Anyways.
Yeah.
Can we
I
just
got
get
you
the
to say it
alternate
anyway in Discord
version of
voice.
the of the series finale where fucking Twilight comes strapped with a goddamn Glock.
And what? Does what with it?
Chrysalis starts talking shit. Twilight, bang, bang, bang. Empty 17-round clip.
That doesn't
Behold,
sound...
the most powerful spell
Reload
of all.
17-round clip continues.
Damn.
That doesn't sound like Twiggly, but okay.
Whoa. Why is she
I
packing
mean-
heat?
Why
Hold
not
on.
at this point?
She must have
Because
woke up
that's
on the
evil.
bathroom.
That's
Under the bed.
All
I
right.
mean,
Man,
that is my
it's so
solution
Soviet,
to
but
every
we're not
single
complaining
problem
about
they have
that.
come across.
She
is
must have
go-
lost a lot of books to get that pissed.
Anyways, so we've got 3 topics to get through today. I'm going to derail us before we get into that senseless argument that will ultimately get nothing done ever,
Yeah.
because no one can ever agree on it because we're all humans and we're all dumb. So, FFD6 recap. Topic 1.
Where we spoiled the DM's fun.
And not really. I mean, you guys did fine.
Aw.
So
Yeah, but you wasted a good while of statting.
I did. And looking back on it, there are ways I could have easily made that work, but let me explain first. So,
Explain.
yes. As you'll all recall, we didn't do Jibber Jabber last week, but we did do FFD6 last week. We didn't do FFD6 this week because Hades has a college test, which, by the way, good luck, Hades. We're rooting for you. You got this shit, man.
Nice. I haven't heard from him in a hot minute.
Well, he has a college test he's doing today. Anyways, so, as things presently stand, to recap what happened before, the party has been working tirelessly to try and find some way of tracking down Deviacorp's location so that they can descend into the lab and essentially rip it to pieces, because that's what Rocket wants to do. She is not wanting Deviacorp to continue doing their work because they're a bunch of evil fucking assholes.
Yeah.
This plan in question, their method, revolved largely around making use of a Deviacorp communication device, essentially a long-distance Magitech walkie-talkie, to try and trace the communication signal using some advanced Magitech thingamajig that Sid has to Deviacorp's location. The problem is the signal needs a return ping to, like it needs to be already connected to the headquarters, the central lab, to have a strong enough signal. So it's kind of like if you have half a string and on one attached to one thing that can only reach about half the distance, but towards its destination there's another string just as long and they can tie in the middle and you've got that connection. What's happened in this scenario is on Deviacorp's side they essentially cut the string between them and the other object. So in order to have enough string to make the connection and figure out where the fuck they're going, they need another of the same type of communicator. So, with that thought process in mind, the party came to the determination that the city of Costa del Sol would be a good place to try and go to get what they need, to get another such communicator. Using Thanatos' reasoning, Costa del Sol is sort of a resort location, vacation spot, and all the members of Deviacorp they had encountered so far, just one, I should say openly, seem to have been really full of themselves and arrogant and high-strung, and it just seemed fitting that such individuals, when not on duty, would make some time at a luxurious coastal resort. Not having any better plans, the party saddled up and went to Costa del Sol aboard Sid's airship, the Stargazer, where after a bit of poking around and leaving Rocket on the airship so that she wouldn't get immediately bum-rushed or draw attention to the group, they were able to get some really swanky-looking barding and whatnot for her that covered up her Magitech bits with the exception of her legal leg and essentially disguised her so that she wouldn't draw attention to the rest of the group. Not any undue attention at any rate.
The style of a phoenix.
Yep, she looked very much like a phoenix. It was absolutely gorgeous, and it cost the party 3,000 gil. It was fucking expensive. But hey, it grants her immunity to fire damage.
Practical and
Better do something
stylish.
for her.
Rarity would approve.
Kind of a waste. Otherwise.
Well, I thought that it would be nice for her if she had a phoenix one, and I
Yeah.
thought this would be the place that has one.
Yeah, it was Alistair's idea. It was very thoughtful of him, and I'm glad he went through with that because it gave me a chance to draw the damn thing. But anyways, once
A
they
nice
brought
job.
so they brought that back to Rocket, they got her suited up, and then they set out into Costa del Sol as a group once again to look for any sign of anyone who could potentially have the sort of device they were looking for. Their first thought, hit a local bar. That's usually the best place to start. Thanatos and Nee went, or was it Alistair and Nee who went in?
It was
It was
Alistair and he
me
ran
and
inside.
Yeah,
me.
okay. So Thanatos stayed outside with Rocket because you don't generally bring chocobos into bars. Well, Alistair and Neothil went in and asked around a bit, talked to the bartender, and wound up overhearing a nearby drunk Torofel boasting and blathering that he is really loaded on, like, he has, like, a really good job at a tech company, and he makes shit go boom. He was fucking drunk and had no inhibitions left, even to the point where, he openly stated at some point that he wanted Nee to step on him, but I digress.
Yeah, he was barking up the wrong tree there.
Yeah, oh, yeah, totally.
But she thought you were funny.
Well, anyways. So the party managed to figure out where he made his home down on the water, a personal boat of his, the Wave Rider, I believe I called it. And they determined that because of this guy's seeming connection to some sort of Magitech company of some description, he was probably their best bet for finding what they needed. So they devised this sneaky little plan to have Thanatos approach in a seemingly drunken stupor, distract everyone on the top deck in the night, mostly a collection of guards, while Neothil snuck on board through a porthole in the side of the ship and searched the lower decks for anything useful.
And to make it more convincing.
And thus began an approximately hour-long heist, where gameplay hour-long, in-universe it was probably close to like 10 or 15 minutes, where Thanatos was just drunkenly blustering, very well acted, because he was actually totally sober, but drunkenly blustering and talking to the people on the ship, just annoying them to no end, while Neothil was skulking around below decks. She had a few close encounters with guards on patrol or on watch, but was able to distract them and slink by thanks to some really damn high stealth rolls. And eventually...
I have started very highly into stealth. That's kind of like Carden's thing.
Yep, Ranger. And was eventually able to do a surprisingly good job at figuring out exactly what they were doing.
And the little dash of alcohol on Thanatos really...
Yeah, I splashed him with that, so I gave him an extra D6 to his roll for deception. Yeah, it worked. But following that shit, there was... So, amidst all of that, Neothil didn't find the communicator at first, but she did find a large suit of Magitech armor. A Magitech Reaper would be the specific model type, which, those things are really fucking illegal outside of military use. And this is a civilian boat, so... So eventually she was able to sneak back up onto the top decks where all of the soldiers and guards were just kind of watching Thanatos with amused interest because this drunken nincompoop is hilarious. And with them being as distracted as they were, eventually Neothil managed to slip into the captain's quarters and after a bit of poking around, found the communicator and slipped off. Then Alistair showed up to Thanatos under the guise of finding a drunken friend and hauled him off, and the group reconvened with their gotten gains. And then, eager to get the hell out before anything could be detected as a miss, they made their way back to Sid's airship, which was docked higher up in the city, and sent word to the local authorities about the illegal Magitech contraptions aboard the Wave Rider. And then with that, they made an early departure and left Costa del Sol, heading back for the capital city of Linsalem, Endlum, which is based heavily off of Lindblum from Final Fantasy IX, in case no one's noticed. Upon their return, they pretty much beelined straight for Sid's manufactory. And when they arrived, they were greeted, surprise, surprise, by the presence of one Mika Solwyn, the group's white mage, who had apparently started heading off for Endlum the moment she had caught wind that the party had been incarcerated, however briefly that may have been. So she spent the better part of 2 weeks traveling on foot to get to the city just to make sure you were all okay, after spending a little bit talking with her instructors and coming to an arrangement that for her head instructor and overseer, she was to keep in contact via a book that's essentially a carbon copy paste of the book that Sunset and Twilight used to communicate in My Little Pony and Equestria Girls. You write something in one, it appears in the other, goes both ways, that kind of thing.
useful if we get lost in an alternate universe.
Which probably won't happen, and this thing does have its limits.
Probably, but not impossibly.
But anyways,
It's good to see an old friend.
yep. So Mika rejoined the party, and Sid began work on the communicator to double their signal, and that is where that session left off. So, Tom, Darkness, since you two were players in that, anything you want to add? Any thoughts? Any observations?
Stressful.
It was nerve-wracking as hell.
You were the one
freaking
sneaking
dice
about the
roll.
ship. You were my backup while I
No,
had
but
the chocobo.
a dice roll, just one roll, and the
Every
whole time
single
go to
stealth
shit.
dice roll I did was to gain one less each time.
It was freaking metal knee solid
Also,
right here.
Might I add that when we actually, I managed to sneak into the captain's cabin when the little scientist guy finally came out. I was looking over the communicator. Initially, DM here was like, you don't find anything, which indicating that it was on his person, forgetting that we had searched his person earlier and found nothing.
Yeah, I missed that part.
So he replaced it with a lockbox that he seemed to really want me to trip, but I passed all the rolls and managed to deactivate the alarm and steal it, and then slip out without anyone noticing. And so
And
we
I
now
had to-
fought the boss.
And then I could relax, knowing that we have succeeded.
Yeah. As it stands, thinking back on it, probably the easiest solution I could have had to that to actually have you guys act the way I wanted you in that scenario, and have you actually fight the boss I had statted
To
up.
be fair, I actually would have been more pissed off if you forced us to fight it rather than accepting the fact that we found a way around it, because that's just extreme railroading.
Oh, yeah. I'm fine with you guys finding ways around things and taking other routes, but I still feel like I kind of wasted my time statting that Reaper now.
I know, but the things happen. Like,
Yeah,
I've
I
been
know.
reading stories where
I know. But now I already have in mind a scenario that I could have used that would have made you guys had to think about another way to get to the ship that would have also given me more opportunities to actually present the Reaper to you. Since we're past this point now, well and truly, and no going back, because New Game Plus is not a thing with tabletop games.
Although I do have a feeling in the near the final act, when I take it on Deviant Corp, there could be one or two Reapers nearby.
Well,
I
anyways.
mean, the place wouldn't be not lightly guarded.
Well, anyways.
please don't give them ideas.
Well, as it stands, the idea that I wound up getting in my head after the session was over and face palmed over is after bringing the little midget back to the ship and you were waiting for night to pull your little heist, just have it pull out onto the water away from the docks, forcing you guys to find some other way to get to it.
You son of a...
I mean, to be fair though, one, that wouldn't have made sense story-wise because they would be unveiling the big thing. So you mean the
boat? Have the
thing.
boat on different dock to just got onto the water for the night.
Oh, I thought you meant the Magic Reaper would disembark to guard it. I misheard you.
No. They don't bring
No,
that
that's
thing.
not-
That would make sense because that's kind
That
of
would-
blatantly obvious.
In a way, though, it wouldn't, because wouldn't that alert the authorities? Hey, look, that looks illegal. Let's go and...
That's what I meant. Yes.
But as it is, just have the boat pull out a dock for the night, just and that does actually serve a practical purpose. It makes sure it's a lot harder for dipshits to try and hop on the boat, and the rocking motions of the waves would probably help the captain with his sleep, because waves are soothing for some people.
Well, goodbye, Captain.
Well,
He was also drunk.
That's all in hindsight when you originally thought we would do one thing and then we outthunk you.
My Discord is killing itself.
I'm sorry, you should probably stop that. Cut the noose.
Rest in peace, man.
But yeah. So, does anyone else have any thoughts on what they've heard here? Blank, since you haven't been here in a while.
Sounds like a good campaign. I'm upset that my little furball wasn't able to do it by my own hand. Granted,
I would have liked
furball
to
with
see
the
what that...
dual wielding
Tax would have liked
guns.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Cogmog. I do miss the fact that we never managed to get him in there.
Yeah.
Yes, Cosmo
Fucking
apparently
drowned.
died when the ship exploded. Sorry.
Eh.
Uh,
Who knows? I might add him as an Easter egg in the video game adaptation at some point.
there you go.
Yeah, I was on that boat.
Nice.
I flew off. Couple.
Darkness. Oh, wait, no, we already talked to Dark. Paladin, do you have anything?
No, but
Soviet?
thank you for remembering. I'm here.
I have a
Oh,
line.
it's okay. We all forget about you when we are not here.
I have a visual list of everyone
Shit.
present, man.
Yeah, it's
I-
not like it's right.
I'm literally looking at the image of everyone who's currently here. I am watching the video as we are recording it because that's how Open Broadcaster software works.
You may not be a literal paladin, but you are a paladin.
Don't make it weird. Don't make it weird. Don't make it weird. Soviet, you. Any thoughts? Yes, you. Go, Soviet, red
I
guy.
am disappointed that they managed to pass everything. I wanted them to get their asses kicked in a
Well,
funny boss fight.
Screw you, frankly.
You could.
It's a good
if you
thing.
want to
See,
see
we
very-
planned this out very well, and for once in our lives, we had a very good plan that the dice abided by. Because we've had extremely good plans against impossible scenarios in the past that might have worked, but didn't because of critical fails. The first fucking roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have. It has to go
wrong.
right now and then.
There was also
Besides, we
there was
want-
also the scenario back in the last plot arc where you were dealing with the Camp of Magitech and the Vinaldi
Here we
soldiers,
go.
where you had a great
Terrible.
idea, and then out of session you swapped it for a stupid one, and I had to subtly nudge you back to the smart one because holy crap, I didn't feel like spending another 10 or 20 sessions on this one storyline.
I question the distraction plan, and thank goodness we didn't do that one.
Don't start. You were supporting it at first as well.
Yes,
I knew the entire time that was a bad idea. I don't know what you mean.
Her dumb plan. I knew things. Yes, totes.
I'm just glad
it
that
could
Nee
work,
got.
but then again, it's a risky plan.
I'm just glad that Nee got her girlfriend back.
Temporarily.
Mika is in the party. I feel safer.
Mika is in the party. You've got your cure flinger.
Which means double the heal.
Double the
Yes.
heal. She also has wind magic, if you recall, and Dia. And she also
Sorry
has
if you hear that.
and she also has some new spells now that she's level 4 that I think you're all really gonna like.
Oh.
Find out about them.
But yeah, if you wonder what that noise was, I had to go up for air. It gets hot under here.
All right. We didn't really hear anything, but anyways. So that is the FFD6 recap for this week. Hopefully we'll have more next time. Now, we have a second topic. So with My Little Pony officially concluded for, until Gen 5 rolls around, whenever that is, probably a couple of years from now, we are going to be...
It's meant to be like a pilot movie next year, and then the actual series starts in 2021.
Right. But that's
No,
still...
but
But
yeah,
that's
I'm
still...
going to be writing a story of a previous generation. Still, that blows my mind.
Well, and I imagine Friendship is Magic is going to persist in the fan art creation for a long time yet, because holy shit was it impactful on so many people. But as it is, without the show, we're going to be without guaranteed topics each week for every time we sit down to do this for a long time.
I mean, there's a Equestria Girl special that was released today. We could do next week.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. The very last piece of actual televised G4 content.
Don't
Oh.
worry, friend. I'll probably post
just
something
hoping-
about that.
But
I'm just looking to see if they're going to try like a spin-off from it.
who knows?
Probably.
But as it is, what I had in mind, since my channel is largely focused around fan fiction readings and fan fictions in general, and most of us here are in some capacity invested in the fan fiction scene, be it writing, reading, or listening, I figured that our second topic could probably be, this could be something we could try doing periodically on here because it would give us something to talk about, and there's something new there all the time. If we come across new or interesting fan fictions that we've started reading for ourselves lately, give them shout-outs here and talk about them a bit.
I cannot participate in this one because I'm still stuck on this fucker's fan fictions, which he never stops updating. Grumble.
I'm sorry. You don't have to keep looking at my. You're not obligated to look at my shit as a priority. You know.
I've already said that all your future sequels, until I've read some other stuff, are going on read later. But I'm committed to these ones that are almost finished anyway.
Well, Scarlet's only like halfway through, so.
Well, at least the Memories is almost done. That'll be one less.
It's still got like 15 or so chapters to go. But anyways.
I'm just gonna go and jump out off a building.
No, don't, no!
No.
The perfect rose needs a writer!
Please, Tom, trust me. Suicide
I will
will
do
not
it for
accomplish
Rose.
anything.
Okay.
It'd be funny if he jumps out and then Twilight swoops in and catches him.
Yeah.
You don't get to die yet. You're my number 1 fan. You don't get to die unless I tell you to.
I think he wouldn't mind that.
Oh, shit. All right.
That
Okay.
sounds more like a threat.
That's actually
probably
pretty
have
okay.
lived
So anyway,
You don't
all
get to
right,
die.
yeah, okay. So I'll start us off. I've got 2, maybe 3. I kind of want to talk about.
Okay.
They're both really new, but the first one I kind of want to talk about. I'll go from top down. It would be it's been on the featured list. It's a crossover story between MLP and Harry Potter, actually.
Oh no.
Apparently, and it's set like a few months after the events of both. So, like in the context of My Little Pony, a few months after Chrysalis, Discord, and Chrysalis, Tyrk, and Cozy were stoned, and a few months after the events of the Battle of Hogwarts in the Harry Potter side of things. And it's called Sweetie Belle, Hogwarts Exchange Student.
Seen that on the featured list, though. I never read it because it's a Harry Potter crossover. It did interest me.
Oh yeah, before we continue, apparently a bunch of people are getting arrested across the railroad tracks from me. And I can hear the drug dog very upset.
Huh, interesting.
I saw someone getting arrested at Asda on Halloween.
Yeah, well, as it stands, the main reason why I'm interested in this one, well, for one thing, it's been a while since I've really given much thought to Harry Potter, and this one just struck my eye because I have a special spot in my heart for Sweetie Belle among the CMC. And the basic premise is that Sweetie Belle is going to be spending a year at a severely diminished Hogwarts, because in the aftermath of all the shit with Voldemort, it's like really diminished, not a lot of students, very small classes, etc., etc. Repairs are still being made, that kind of thing. But the student who will be coming over to Equestria to help with some of Sombra's leftover magic that seems to be acting up in the Crystal Empire is one Theodore Knott, who I don't actually remember from the Harry Potter series, but it's someone who had something to do with I don't know if it's a new character or not, but either way, it's only 3 chapters in so far, but what I've read so far is well written enough. Definitely catches the feeling of both settings effectively.
It can't be any worse than J.K. Rowling retconning so wizards take a shit in the hallway in Magic. That happened, by the way.
Yeah, well, I don't really pay attention to Rowling's Twitter, and I don't think anyone with half a brain should at this point.
You probably shouldn't. She sort of lost it at some point down the line.
Kind of like Notch, but yeah.
Eh.
But yeah, so it seems like an interesting premise. Keep an eye on that. Seems like fun. The second one I want to look at caught my eye mostly because of the title. At first, I thought it was going to be like a parody of one of Tom's stories because it's called Change, Again. I looked at it, I was like, wait, what is this? But then I looked at the cover art and was like, no, that can't be right because that's Alicord and Twilight hoof being held in Chrysalis's hooves, and Chrysalis looks alarmed and Twilight looks flirty, I think? I don't know what's good.
This is Change for incest.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
no, 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 no.
Don't do that here.
Fuck you, Tom.
The joke popped into my head and I couldn't resist it.
No.
It happens,
Fuck
but
you.
still, man, seriously.
Ugh. Okay. No.
You can't
So,
expect me to
shut
go.
up.
It's great.
Shut up. So, no. The actual premise is that I'll go ahead and read off the description here, just for clarity's sake. It reads, once Queen Chrysalis has had her schemes blow up in her face yet again. Naively, she thought this time would be different. Take their power for her own, and it would be a simple matter to enact her revenge. She did not expect to end her scheme crippled, starving, and in the hooves of the pests that ruined her life. Then the second paragraph reads, Twilight and her friends have had a rough day. An argument during their trip to the woods nearly had them at each other's throats, but they pulled through together and laughed about it in the end. They didn't expect to end their day with them taking one of the greatest threats to Equestria into custody, and Twilight certainly didn't expect herself to be extending her hoof to another poor lost soul trying to help them find their way. It begins at the very end of the Mean Six and diverges from canon. And so it's only 2 chapters in, but it seems like it's got some steam going because there's only been 2 days between the first 2 chapters so far. So the tags read romance and drama, so who knows what's going on there. But it seems but what I've read so far definitely seems interesting, like a potentially really good and fleshed out Chrysalis redemption story, reformation, whatever. So we'll see how that goes.
Conspiracy theory, they were going to call it change originally, then they saw there was another change, like, shit.
Maybe.
From what I learned from Chrysalis, I think the reason why she's like this, because she's just afraid of change. Change that she's
afraid of my fan fictions. I don't know why that would put me.
No, not your fan fiction. I mean, just
God
literal
damn it,
change.
Dom.
God damn it, man.
You know, interestingly enough,
we know that you exist.
You know, here's the thing: we do actually know that Chrysalis is actually perfectly capable of reformation. We know she has the capacity. She's just lacked the will.
Wait. Was she never reformed by the end of the series?
No, at the end of the series, she and 2 other villains were permanently turned into stone.
Well,
oh wait, what?
You need to get caught up, motherfucker.
What season?
Why do that? Well, you can just tell me right now. Who's the other villain?
Tyrek and Cozy Glow.
Tyrek.
Whoa.
And also, Twilight is immortal, and the end of the series all celestiated up.
Yeah, or at the very least, really fucking tall.
There was a big time that also Applejack and Rainbow Dash got together, seemingly.
That they did.
And so did Discord and Fluttershy.
Yep.
And Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich. They had a son.
Yep.
I think we just blew Blank's mind.
No, I'm trying to wrap my head around. I really thought they were just going to go
also,
Lyra and show like they did with the very
got married.
beginning, and everything was going to be all cheery, and they were going to get the villain to reform. I'm interested.
Well, everything was all cheery, but they couldn't get the villains
it.
to reform, is the thing. But we do know that Chrysalis is totally capable of it, because in one of the episodes where she was interacting with Tyrek and Cozy, at one point, it was the one where they were retrieving Grogar's bell. At one point, in order to power through the barrier that was keeping Grogar's bell away from them, Chrysalis had to let Tyrek take her power away so that he could have enough power to punch through and hold it open so that Cozy could go in and get it. And then Tyrek had to give her power back, and they were all shocked that they actually cooperated like that. And for a moment, they were talking rather in surprise, like pleased surprise at how good it had felt to actually cooperate like that and whatnot. And but then they very quickly, but then Chrysalis was the one who noticed that they were starting to get sentimental and friendly with each other, and quickly pounced on like, no, we ain't doing this shit. But she seemed to be leaning into it more than the other 2. So I legitimately think if she were ever released, there is a chance that she could actually be made to, turn nice. It would take a lot of effort, and it would probably have to happen on her terms and no one else's, or happen in her own time. Like, it could not be a rushed thing. This could not be a Starlight Glimmer job. It would take time. But I do think it's actually
strap her against the friendship canon. You either reform now or.
Well, it will be 1,000 years in the future, probably again.
No. We do know it's possible. We know she's capable of it. It's just whether or not she's willing to go through with it.
That's a suggestion that they got turned to stone.
The finale closes off most things. It also leaves enough open ends for fanfiction fuel.
Exactly.
So.
But who here thinks that basically those 3 are going to end up like this, or they're still going to do like mischief things as they usually do?
Anyway,
who's
were you asking, Blank? Who's Cozy Glow? Cozy Glow she's a filly, but she has the intelligence of an adult and is also a sociopath. A legitimate sociopath.
They turned a little kid into stone. I like it.
I like the gumption, kid, but she
contributed in literally blowing half of Canterlot off the mountain. So there's a lot of implied death in that scene.
Yeah.
Oh.
If I want to watch a little brat on scene that basically is pure fucking evil, I watch Miss Dimple
She's
and
a,
fucking
she's a
Max.
so-
Wait, when does this character come in?
Season
I
eight.
would-
Season
I would-
Like season
Season
8.
8. Shoot,
She's
you might
introduced in a
talk me
completely
into
normal
watching
episode
again.
as a friend of the CMC. It turns out she's a sociopath who's very good at manipulating people.
Y'all
There,
might
there,
be
Blake.
talking me
I'm
into watching
technically
this
more
again.
behind than you.
Also, do you remember the whole Lyra Bonbon shipping thing?
I remember. I know what happened.
They got married. And so did Big Mac and Sugar Bell.
Yeah, that happened too. And they had a son in the finale.
But
Yep.
anywho, what's the
They-
third
they-
story?
they
John?
did.
There is actually a third story I need to talk about here. As fun as it is to just blow Blank's mind with shit he doesn't know because he never got caught up. Wink, wink,
Rainbow.
nudge, nudge, nick, nick, woohoo. The third story is actually written by someone here in the audience, or in the chat, rather. I mentioned it
Oh,
earlier.
Son of a bitch, you finally wrote something.
No, it would be The Perfect Rose by Tom.
Hey, yeah, it'll be me.
Yeah. So, I'm enjoying it. To hell and back so far. It's really fucking cute. It's nice to see cute stuff coming from Tom again after the void left in our hearts in the absence of soaring on little wings and change Avia. It's good to see some cute shit from this guy again. So, Tom, why don't you talk about it for a second, because this is your baby.
Yes, it is. And it's actually got the baby in it. She's a cute little griffin thing, and I'm still waiting for Aurelia to do the cover art for that.
Has she gotten in touch with you?
She said on the 10th she did. She said she should be available by the 28th, but it's now the 3rd of November, so I haven't heard back from her yet, and god damn it, I want to see it, the cute cover art. Anyway, the story itself, The Perfect Rose, glad you actually enjoyed my fix. It is a story about, everyone here knows the Canterlot nobility, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Snooty, uptight pricks.
So yeah, I mean, you have right at the top of the pecking order, you have like the blue blood and such, and then you have like minor nobility such as Twilight Sparkle's own family and parents, because if you remember,
Which
she's
us?
actually noble.
I never
I
said this, but
remember
I
when
was
they
hoping
brought
that
that
Blue
up.
Blood would be like a main villain in the series.
Oh, he's just a dickhead. Blue blood will be playing a part in this story.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
jeez.
he's Blue blood and his whole family. Some of them may surprise you. Some of them definitely will not surprise you. And guess which one won't surprise you?
Blue blood.
Anyway, yes, Blue blood, or in this story, as he's known, Blue blood Junior.
Oh, God.
His father's also named Blue blood because nobility and passing on names. Anyway, the story follow up until this point is currently, since she, the actual title character can't speak yet because she's a just born infant, is currently focusing on a minor noble couple called Ebony Rose and Cash Counter, along with their butler, Time Catcher. That was it. Who is kind of like Alfred Pennyworth.
That's the only voice I can give him when I'm reading his lines is, like Alfred's lines from like the animated series or whatever.
That was his kind of personality inspiration. Kind of loyal but snarky. He's not scared to speak his mind.
Good. No one should be.
Yeah. And also kind of
Best
shows that
Alfred.
they're not kind of snobby kind of nobles, because they're perfectly fine for him to speak his lines, and they do some verbal jousting, particularly between Cash Counter and Time Catcher. They
Yeah, I've noticed.
take the piss a lot. But yeah, basically the whole story is Ebony Rose found out she was barren, she can't have children, so they decided to adopt, which is already for the nobility, at least for some of the higher up nobles, a tenuous subject because of bloodlines and purity and all of that bollocks. But it's not completely unheard of, especially in the form of when a noble couple physically can't have children, so they adopt a unicorn child. That's the expectation. But right off the bat, they're talking of potentially defying protocol by either getting a Pegasus or, Celestia forbid, an Earth pony in the nobility. So
Racism.
they head off to the orphanage. On the way, it's kind of established that this first chapter is taking place on the same day as Twilight's accident at Celestia's school and the Rainbow. just to get a timeline ready. When they get there, they find a bunch of various foals running about, but they're particularly interested in because they want to start from the beginning. If there are any infants there, and they're told by the keeper of the orphanage that they currently only have a single infant among their number, and she seems nervous for some reason. And then they go upstairs. They find out the infant is a couple-day-old Griffin chick / cub, whichever pronoun you want to use. A young girl who apparently was abandoned in the streets. They don't know why. They suspect the Griffins literally just Griffin parents dropped into council, left her there, and fucked off again. She was brought to the orphanage by a couple of common ponies, and the mayor running the place was pretty much certain that, because it's hard enough for ponies to get adopted in this place, but was pretty much certain that this Griffin would never be adopted because she's a Griffin in a town that's predominantly unicorn and very, in some places, high-strung and prideful and smug about unicorn heritage, since it was always the unicorn city. However, Ebony particularly is instantly enamored with who she now names Perfect Rose. The Rose because her eyes are red like hers, and also because Rose is like a passed down name to all the mayors in the family. And Cash Cow was very insistent that no naming scheme from his side of the family be used, because he doesn't like it, because it's mostly money related. So they decide to adopt her, and the story is going to be pretty much a good chunk of her life. We're going to be spending a little bit more time of her childhood than we did with Little Wing. And we're not going quite so far into the future, but it's going to be her growing up in an environment that essentially wishes she didn't exist, because the nobility having a Griffin among their number is basically blasphemous.
Yeah. So yeah, it's presently very adorable, but it also promises to have plenty of fascinating social drama and intrigue in the future. So if you are interested in either of those things, keep your eyes on this story. It is sure to delight and please, as long as Soaring on Little Wings did for you in the past. Or if you like pretty much any of Tom's shit, you'll probably like this shit. I imagine it's going to have all of its hallmarks, except for all the death, doom, and gloom.
It's going to have even less of that than Soaring on Little Wings did, since things happen in Soaring Little Wings. But
Little Wing got shot.
An assassination attempt.
Yeah, she did. that kind of thing isn't going to happen in this one. It's going to be drama and stuff, and the occasional harb.
Sweet
one though.
All right. So yeah, those are the three I wanted to talk about. Anyone else have any?
Nope.
Not yet,
it's not based off the show, but it's kind of an old one, but it is based off of another favorite series of mine.
Okay.
It's I'm sure some of you have probably heard of it. It's called Blue Skies. It is a Portal fan fiction.
I've not.
It takes place, like, I think a couple of years after the ending of
Portal 2.
Portal 2. And basically, it starts off with Wheatley and the Space Corps just kind of floating around in orbit around the planet. And Space Corps gets fucking smashed by a meteorite and destroyed.
Oh, that's sad.
Starting off strong.
Unfortunately.
No, that's not canonical.
But the same
that's not what happened
event
to Space Corps.
also...
Space Corps lands in Skyrim. That's what's
Space. Lovely space.
Anyways, the asteroid destroys Space Corps completely and also launches Wheatley back into orbit. And he crashes in a nearby pond to the Aperture Science Facility that predominantly took up the plot of Portal 2.
What a coincidence he happened to land there from orbit.
Drags him back into the facility and uses him to draw... I cannot remember.
Oh man, GLaDOS ain't gonna like that he's
What
back.
is her name? What is her name?
Shell?
Who?
Yes, thank you. To draw her back, because GLaDOS has gotten tiresome of testing with the Atlas and Peabody robots.
Also, Galados may or may not be Chell's once human mother.
Right. But anyways, Chell ends up getting lured back in because she picks up a radio signal from Wheatley trying to call for help.
Why would she respond
And
to
in
that
the
asshole?
process,
She obviously wanted
in
to
the
launch him
story,
back
it's
into
explained
orbit.
that she doesn't really know why she's doing it. She's going off of natural instinct.
She just likes pain, clearly.
And in the process of trying to escape with Wheatley, Wheatley gets severely damaged, and she transfers his AI into a android that constructs itself in hard light. And the robotic frame kind of constructs a human-like image of what Wheatley's AI was based off of.
It's like a British butler or something.
They better not ship.
Ugh.
I don't know. I've only gotten like
No.
5 chapters.
Not with a
in,
hard
but
light
Just don't.
body. Please don't.
Don't.
I don't want to think about that.
It is hard
It
light.
won't
It is
work.
light shaped
will not
into
work.
form. It will burn. You will be lit on fire. Anyways, that's like the basic premise, and I've only gotten like 5 chapters in.
Neat.
That's kind of where it cuts off.
All right. Blank, what about you? You've been out for a while. You've probably seen some fun
How
shit.
PG are we trying to keep the stories?
I mean, let's keep Klopp out of the mix.
I'm not, no, nothing like that.
Okay.
So, I'll be good.
I mean, like, if it's rated M for, like, excessive violence and whatnot, I mean, that's okay within reason.
Oh, no, I was just talking about what happened on my
As
weekend.
long as it isn't cupcakes.
Oh, well, if this is what happened on your weekend, that's not a fan fiction shout-out, but I can switch us over to improv.
Oh, no, never mind.
Talk about
I thought we were just talking about something else. Oh, right, we still gotta do the third topic, as I was
I
doing.
mean, we can
we're not
do
gonna have time for
improv. I mean, we can do improv before Crimson if you want to talk about your weekend, because once we launch into Crimson, that's it. That's the
No,
cap of
no.
the show.
Curious.
We're done at that point. Pretty much. Just let
Oh, yeah,
Darkness
no,
go full time.
I just thought we were, like, trying to kill 15 minutes of time, so...
Well, then we can kill 15 minutes by having you talk about the shit that happened to you in the last weekend and just in general, since you've been gone for, like, a year-ish.
All right, so I guess a recap on what I've been doing in the last year-ish. I'm working full-time now, which is fun. The paycheck is nice. Very nice, actually.
I bet. I wouldn't know. I've never been employed full-time. I work from home.
Yeah, you lucky bastard.
Okay.
I make
So
$200
this
a month.
weekend-
You shush.
Got real strange, though.
Doctor
So most of
Strange?
the time on my weekends that I have off, at least, this is a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm so used to just like driving back home from work and just passing out immediately, and my little break starting sometime Friday late morning. However, since I haven't spoken in a while. So since like the last day I was working was Halloween, some friends and I had an idea. Okay, we're gonna go up to the northwestern part of our state and just all get together and just go out to the bar. And we were having a great time. I know I've never publicly said the 6 rules of drinking. I know, Tone, that you have overheard me rambling about it though, but I didn't break any of them. But I think there's an amendment for a 7th one in there somewhere. So for those of you who don't know, the 6 most important rules is 1, don't waste your drink. 2, don't waste your drink. 3, drink until you forget rules 1 and 2. The others are kind of differentiating order of don't let a bro open a tab at a bar because he's going to forget it and you're going to have to drive around all day just waiting for it to open back up so that you can get the credit card back. The other one is don't drink it by yourself. The 6th one is not really a rule so much as a philosophy to live by. You can't forget. Geez, or maybe I forgot it. You can't regret, but you can't remember.
Okay.
But I think I need to put an amendment in there somewhere, like a 7th rule, to not drink at the bar that your ex is also drinking at.
Oh.
Because I woke up in her bed the next day and I was a little awkward about all that.
Oh
That-
no.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah. I still haven't spoken to her since. So I'm guessing that was just a one-time thing, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that being a one-time because she he was a bit of a handful. But oh my goodness, I don't remember most of the night, so I guess I can't regret it.
Wow, that was a very interesting week. And
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I was asking whether it was PG or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, not as long as the
That's a
details aren't like explicit, that's fine. Like don't go into detail about how it was
No, I'm
performed.
not.
I heard
I
more.
would not.
I heard more batshit insane stories, so you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I just get too nervous. I don't want to like say anything that's like, oh no, you can't say that here.
Look, we don't
Nah,
monetize this
I'm
shit.
aware.
All right, we don't really have to worry about that. I
Fair
don't
enough, fair
monetize
enough.
anything on my YouTube channel, partly out of principle, partly because it's pretty much useless for me to do so.
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me of that little factoid. Free Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, totally. Boycott Blizzard Free Hong Kong. Yes, thank you for the reminder.
Man, I can't believe they're actually coming out with an Overwatch 2, especially right now.
Overwatch 2, where it's just the story mode in a $60 expansion.
Fucking
Yep.
hell.
Eh,
Yeah, I see
couldn't
why I
ca-
didn't
I
jump on the
couldn't
hype.
care less about Overwatch if we're being perfectly honest.
I mean, I like
Well, you're
different
not a fan of
parody
shooters,
videos,
so-
but
I mean, I
didn't play
like
the
some
game.
shooters, but I generally don't like online competitive shooting. I prefer either shooting side by side with friends or single player campaigns. Like, I don't like PvP. I prefer PvE.
Oh my goodness.
Besides, if I want to play a
competitive.
game like that, I stick with my Team Fortress 2. I still like that from many memories.
I'm still waiting for
I can
Halo
get back
15
into
to come
that.
out so I can take
I
it from it.
love Engineer.
He's fun. Although Pipe was pretty broken with
I cannot wait for my
Airburst.
friend to resume progress on a series we're working on in Arma.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. That voice, is that the same thing you've commissioned me to do some lines for?
Yes, that the Operation Unwinnable is the thing that I commissioned. However, we got kind of set back on 2 of our series, one being a spin-off of an internet series we both followed for a while, and that one, due to my friend's computer, his Windows license agreement crapped out on him without explanation, and he lost progress on all of our stuff. So rebuilding the jigsaw puzzles of what we already had set up.
Damn.
And I got set back a little bit.
Well, shit. So, what's next, Jarmus?
Well, unless anyone else has anything else they want to bring up, I guess we can move on to Crimson.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
I am not picking up anything cohesive from anyone. What's going on with my Discord today?
So,
We got about 8 minutes, so all right. So
brief introduction.
Continue with the adventures of Crimson the Dragon, and you might want to give a bit of... okay, so for Blank's benefit, because I don't think he was here when we started talking about Crimson the Dragon. This is
Basically, it's about a group of adventures.
Let me give that little bit, because I can do it faster, more effectively, without as much stuttering.
Sure.
So for your benefit,
shit.
Blank, this has been a segment here on Jibber Jabber for a while, where Darkness kind of recounts events from the D&D campaign of a friend of his, in which the party somehow managed to take a adolescent red dragon that they found and had been hired to kill, and actually turned it into a party member with a player and everything. They named her Crimson, and she is a party member, and she is a delight to be around, like to listen to the stories of, because it's hilarious. She's this really proud, powerful red dragon, but she kind of keeps getting mixed up in situations that are demeaning and humiliating to her, and it's just wonderful. They've been through a lot of shit so far, including but not limited to taking down a group of bandits, delving into an ancient fortress that wound up including like mirrors that fucked with her mind. They wound up she had a drinking contest with the group's dwarf, which she won, but was still drunk as all hell at the end of it because she drank like several barrels of alcohol. She got high on flowers.
Actually, dragon fruit.
Yeah, dragon fruit. Really high and really sweet as a result. Just the most snuggly of dragons. It was adorable. And most recently, she was turned into a human through a polymorph type spell by someone who was part of like a sort of surrogate family of sorts that she'd been a part of long before she ever met the party, and they spent the last while trying to put her back. And apparently she can now shift back and forth between human and dragon at will. So with that summary in mind, Darkness,
Well, she has to figure
take
it out
away.
first, and it's blood magic, which is
Yeah.
permanent, apparently.
Yeah, she has to figure it out, but she can
Bullshit.
do it. So, Darkness, resume the story. You got looks about 5 minutes, sadly, because I took 3 to give the recap. Okay, go.
Okay, so after the stressful day, they head to the bar, which now she's a human, she is allowed, which she did question why she was a human, no thanks to Caden, who was also the one who was involved of her transformation. He answered it the wrong way. He claims the reason why she turned into a human is because maybe hormones are getting to her head, which then he basically got his ass kicked for that, suggesting that she may fancy Mirren. She was not happy.
Hey, the way I see it, if she fancies anyone, it's either going to be Ashton due to Stockholm Syndrome or Doran because of the drinking contests.
Well, she has a huge hatred for Aston, and she still wonders to this day, why is he still alive and here?
Why haven't I killed him yet? Ashton is the group's fire mage, by the way. Total dick, neurotic as all hell. Does not understand social cues, and for whatever reason thought he and Crimson were a thing for a couple days.
Yeah.
Completely against her knowledge and wishes,
And now-
I might add.
And now his new love of his life is a fucking Macy named Macy.
Macy.
Amazing.
Hang on, I need to look up what a Macy is.
Wait,
You're gonna take him 5 minutes to look it up.
arcane weapon. Oh
I'm
dear.
just finding pictures of people. What is a Macy in this context?
Yeah, you find out that. While she was in the bar and not having anything, 'cause she was in the mood and trying to figure out how to change back, she noticed a familiar face amongst the crowd in the corner. From the looks of it, it was the same guard who was pointing a bow and arrow in her back at the old fortress that they took down along with the evil dark blue mage. And she wondered what the fuck he was doing there. Because this was the guy that pointed the bow and arrow, but then when she stared at him, he lowered it down and backed the fuck off and walked away. Where he would know the rest of the party, but he wouldn't know her in this human state. She decided to go over and piqued her interest of knowing why he was there. Turns out the reason why he was there, he was taking a break after he lost his job because everyone's pretty much dead except for him. He was the only one who escaped. She asked
it would
if
put a hamper on your employment prospects, wouldn't it?
so she starts to ask questions like, were any of them your friends at all? No, don't have any. You don't? Sorry, but if you're in my line of work, if you keep any emotional interest near you, it's just going to slow you down and really mess with you. Which, speaking of which, you're new in town. And can you really wield those swords of yours? I could try them out on you. Oh, easy. That's not the kind of business we do, dear. We are a special high case of mercenaries, unlike the ones upon this town. What's wrong with the ones upon this town? They're a bit... They mostly stay here. We go out and deal with the most important shit. And does it pay well? It pays very well. You could get very huge amounts of gold for this kind of work. And how many are you in total? A few left, I guess. But none that whatever happened to my one. So what? You get a new employer after one employer's dead? Pretty much, yeah. Mercenary is quite an important job. I'll be right back. I think about this. Okay, I'd be right here. By the way, if you want anything from me, don't push it. Whew. So after that interesting conversation, she has a plan to infiltrate this organization of mercenaries, which they think is a terrible idea because what would happen if she randomly does find a way to turn back and she reveals her true form to them? As she puts it, well, I don't feel like changing anytime soon, so I'll be going on this undercover mission. So, Crimson is now going on an undercover mission with a guy that would have shot an arrow at her if it wasn't the fact he was completely shit scared and admitted one truth. You almost shot a dragon, but you didn't. Why? Well, that's obvious. Don't fuck with a dragon. Just walk away and hope the dragon doesn't find you tasty.
A wise philosophy, and a philosophy on which we're going to have to end this episode because we are now about 30 seconds over the hour mark. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Jibber Jabber, and thank you, Blank, for stopping by. It's been a while. Glad to have you with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and we will
Welcome
see you
back.
next time. Keep listening, people. Bye-bye.
Sarah.
Bye, everyone.
Live.
Till next time.